Welcome to the Omaha Magazine podcast. It's about all of us, where we highlight Omaha business and community leaders, arts and culture, and where to dine and play. I'm Gil Cohen, Executive Vice President of Sales and Marketing at Omaha Magazine. Today, we have Itzel Lopez, CEO and co-founder of the Latino Economic Development Council of Omaha. Welcome, Itzel. It's a pleasure to have you on our Omaha Magazine podcast. It's about all of us today. I would say this morning or this afternoon. Not sure exactly when it's going to air, but welcome and thank you for coming on today.
Absolutely, and muchas gracias.
Muchas gracias. My Spanish is very limited. Although I worked in San Antonio for a couple of years, I still didn't polish up too much on my Spanish, so.
Well, we'll need to practice. Yeah, we'll need to practice sometime. Well, I'm first of all, thank you for having me here. Sure. I'm really excited to share with you and converse today. So whether it airs during the day or at night, I think you'll find this conversation amusing. How about that?
So that sounds great. So as I mentioned in the promo, you're CEO and co-founder of the Latino Economic Development Council for Omaha, correct?
Absolutely.
How did you, and before that, you were Vice President of Advancement for AIM, the AIM Institute, correct? What was the transition there? What made you decide to leave AIM and kind of venture off to...
our own. Yeah, that's right. Well, my journey started very differently than most people. I guess I'll start with me and how this all got involved into where I'm at today. I was born and raised in Mexico, and at the age of 12, I came to the U.S. I was doing everything I could to Americanize myself, so learned English, volunteering a lot of things, including forming my own after-school programs when I attended Omaha South. It was until my junior year when I realized that in wanting to fill out my FAFSA, I learned that I was undocumented.
Okay.
And so that's where my journey began.
Wow.
Right?
So your family came directly to Nebraska from Mexico?
Absolutely. Yeah, my dad had been working here for years and in one of the meatpacking plants.
Okay.
And hence, he wanted to bring the family over, and we found ourselves in Omaha, Nebraska.
Is that hard to make that transition from, well, I guess at age 12, probably a little scary.
Yeah, well, I think if you have a 12-year-old today, and when I was coming to the States, I realized that obviously in middle school, it was hard because, it was one of those times where, you're a double digit, you're trying to not be associated with your parents, but yet, you depend on your parents.
Absolutely.
It's a tough age just in general. And I realized quickly that, being in a different country, I just needed to figure it out on my own. My parents did not speak English either, so it made it a little hard for us to go to school, etc., and get any support. However, they were very caring, and they just wanted the best for us.
Absolutely.
I grew up with the methodology that education is what opens doors.
Right.
And my dad specifically heavily invested that in our heads to the point that we needed to do everything we could to make sure that we attained higher education. So,
and you graduated South High?
Yes, I graduated from South High, and then I didn't think my dreams or fulfilling my parents' dreams, my dreams as well, in pursuing higher education could be possible until I got an academic scholarship from Bellevue University, and then my dreams were somewhat fulfilled.
Come to fruition.
Yes. So after I graduated from Bellevue is when I first came across Omaha Magazine, because our parents founded the Maria Bonita Mexican Cuisine.
Okay.
And we had a brick and mortar in South Omaha. And for many, many, many years, we were best food truck, best Mexican restaurant, best, all the Omaha best.
Oh, best of Omaha. Sure, yeah.
We were just excited to get that much community support. But it wasn't until DACA, and I don't know how familiar you are with our immigration system. It's pretty broken. However,
that was one of my questions, but I'll let you kind of talk about that.
Yeah, so kind of the journey then began. My professional journey began when DACA happened, and 2012, after I was able to formalize my training, I got into the workforce. So I only been in the workforce 12 years,
Okay.
right? So my journey began at Kiewit, but it quickly transitioned into the AIM Institute. And
Right.
if you don't know much about the AIM Institute, you know, their mission is beautiful. It's a mission that's changing people's lives. It really ends the cycle of poverty by getting people into high wage, high demand, high job opportunities.
Are they typically technical or like IT?
Training.
Yeah.
Yep. So in the tech sector, and this while I was there, of course, you know, over 2,500 jobs, they say, go unfilled every day in our community across the state. And now they're considered what they're H3 careers. So as I mentioned, high wage, high demand, high opportunity. That being said, you know, they're jobs that, you know, once, you know, mostly remote. Not all of them are remote, but once you get in the field, there's a lot of opportunity to advance quickly because technology evolves very quickly as well. Always learning.
Most people don't keep up with the technology as fast as technology is moving ahead, right?
Absolutely.
I still have a Samsung 8, so that tells you.
There you go.
But anyway.
Well, I will say that change isn't. I had a friend who reminded me that change is constant, but it's something that people don't want to do, even though it's constant, right? Like she would remind me, change is constant, and we obviously saw that during the pandemic.
Right. Oh, absolutely.
The importance of trying new things, and even if you didn't want to, I mean, you were forced to change, right? And businesses that change the workforce environment, going to hybrid or completely remote programming, were the businesses and the nonprofits that prospered during the pandemic, whereas businesses that did not embrace that, you know, either closed their either are still suffering or closed their doors completely.
So let's talk about the Economic Development Council. So you left AIM and you said, hey, there's a need in South Omaha or the Hispanic community to do some economic development. So how did that all transpire?
Absolutely. This was during the pandemic in 2021 is when we founded the Latino Economic Development Council. And the main purpose was, as a business owner myself and a resident of Southeast Omaha. Now, a lot of people are still surprised to hear that over 12% of the residents in the state of Nebraska now identify as Latinos.
Okay.
But on the U.S., is a little bit higher. 1 in 4 children today are Latino descendant as well. Now, what will happen in Omaha, is that community becomes then the largest ethnic group in Nebraska as well. Wow. In Douglas County, being the largest county in our state as well, there's a predominantly Latino community, specifically centered around Southeast Omaha, which are 3 zip codes, 68107, 68108, and 68105.
Okay.
Where during the 2020 census, which, I mean, a lot of people don't trust the 2020 census, one, because of the COVID, but it is what's there.
Right.
Over 50% of the residents in that area are already identified as Latinos. Now, we believe that it's higher now. Because, again, a lot of people did not fill out the census during the pandemic.
Yeah, they didn't. Yeah.
A lot of people.
Right.
Yeah, they did not participate. Just like we see that people don't participate in primaries because they don't think it's as important as.
I think our recent election, again, we're not sure when this is going to air, but the primary election, I think it was 27% of registered voters came out, which is kind of a shame. But
it is. And so it's similar to the census during the pandemic.
Right.
Now, I share all of this context about the current influx of Latino residents in the area, because during the pandemic, we learned that the South Omaha Business Improvement District, which is located on South 24 between L and Q, that has a concentration of 100 small businesses.
Wow.
suffer extremely on financial hardship.
Okay.
And that financial hardship was leading to the closure of some of these businesses.
Right.
Now, unlike other communities, our business district is very community-centric and very family-centric as well. There's a variety of retail that allows for an entire family to enjoy themselves one afternoon. You know, you can, examples are, you know, you can go to the ice cream parlor, but you can also get your immigration attorney paperwork turned in.
One-stop shop.
Exactly. We have our own, bakeries, you know, freshly baked Mexican
International
pastries.
bakeries down there.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And many other
several
other things that make an afternoon, you know, for the entire family to either have fun or get some things done. Now, a group of us, there's 3 of us that founded the Latino Economic Development Council after we had witnessed with our own businesses how us who believe to be educated and kind of understand what kind of processes were in place and what kind of economic recovery was coming down federally and then locally and state, we realized that a lot of our families were, if we were suffering already and our businesses were suffering, what could we think of the businesses that you know, whose owners did not speak English or had barriers and other? So we just started
not have access to available
resources.
Exactly. Okay.
So basically, we came to think that was happening. After some conversations, we realized that it was happening. That people were facing that extreme hardship, and hence businesses were struggling.
You went business to business or picked several businesses?
Yeah, we picked several businesses. We just pick up the phone or visited in person with several of them and within our network, and we realized that was a common thing, right?
So it's one of the questions I had in the back of my mind. It seems like nonprofit organizations seem to create these economic development areas. You know, with yours in particular, you're a nonprofit organization. There's a couple in North Omaha. Is there a reason why they're more associated with a nonprofit organization as opposed to the city of Omaha coming in and saying, okay, we want to help these areas? Is that...
That's interesting. I never thought of that like that, but I think part of it is because, Omaha is just big, and everybody. It's almost. I think of it like neighborhood associations, right? Like you can be a resident of Omaha, but the things that you need to address in your own backyard, you need to go to your neighborhood association. Find out first.
You got to go to your backyard. Right?
Yeah, like if similarities exist between neighbors. Because if that's true and it's not unique to you, then they say that the power of the people is when the strength of togetherness, right? So I believe that nonprofits fill a gap when those needs are not being met by the existing systems that currently,
And that makes sense. And I suppose probably nonprofits have resources such as grant writers. You probably know if there's state funds available that the city might not, know about, or they can't take those funds where your organization say, oh yeah, we can, sure, you can donate to the Economic Development Council, and your money, the donation will be used to do these certain things, and it's nonprofit, and so.
Absolutely. I think, and especially in this area where we still have, so part of so LEDC, for short, founded in 2021. Then, like you said, we advocated through the state legislature to make sure that Southeast Omaha, one of the qualified census tracts during the economic recovery conversations, was included.
Okay.
And when we first showed up at the state legislature and worked alongside our state senators, we said, we needed at least $50 million for that area. And then it quickly picked up to be $94 million.
Oh my gosh.
And then more things, the more we thought about other things that we could do while this was happening, the growing list of requests populated.
What's the most, if you don't mind me asking, what's the most request, or what would be the biggest investment that you would make down there if you had $94 million? Is there a priority or?
So our proposal for $94 million included mixed income housing.
Okay.
Included the state-of-the-art park, a green space for the South Omaha Business Improvement District. It also included a parking structure.
Okay.
We were even thinking about...
Because parking on Vinton Street is a pain sometimes, isn't
also,
it?
yes. Vinton 24, anywhere you go anymore.
Small streets for some reason.
It's crowded. So, I mean, obviously, by doing all of those things, we were going to increase tourism, increase visitors in the area, and will bring back those businesses that were surviving to thriving mode again. So
the ones that had closed, they're closed, but the ones that are still made it through and kind of maybe struggling a little bit, your goal is to get them to thrive again.
Yes. Yeah. And we're focusing on 3 areas now. Today, fast forward, LEDC's areas of focus are workforce development, culture and historical preservation, and Latino leadership influence.
Okay.
So back to the question about how nonprofits fill this gap. I also think that nonprofits have an opportunity to raise awareness on topics that would not otherwise be challenged.
Get a little more attention as a nonprofit.
Exactly. They wouldn't be otherwise, on top of mind of funders because they'd be like, oh, we didn't know that was happening. You know what I mean?
If it's a city council saying it, it's like, oh, they're spending money that, they don't need to be spending, correct? But nonprofit can
we can,
a lot of those
because we don't have stakeholders. Our stakeholders is the impact, right?
Exactly.
Like the people that will benefit from our advocacy, from our education, from our information gathering. And so today, back to also saying that, in our 3 areas of focus, it's not going to be felt immediately because, of course, this is all vision, but a vision to execution, there's a little bit of a ramp up period, and we are in our startup facing change. I'm not saying that even though we have the experience and we know that we can do this together, it's going to take a minute before some of this impact can be felt.
You just can't throw it out there, throw it up into the wind and hope it takes. You have to have a plan and
absolutely
steps for the plan, and
just like you mentioned, grant writing. You submit a grant and then it's 6 months and then 6 months to execute. I mean, it just takes time. And
can these business owners hold off that long while these steps are taking?
There are other agencies that have been around for a little bit longer that are currently supporting the small businesses to make sure that they continue to have access to some of this aid. I know that the Nebraska Enterprise Fund now is providing a lot of support through grants or low interest loans to make sure that they bridge that gap in the meantime. But many others are involved today. What we know though, that if we didn't start again, that wait will just prolong, and we don't want that. We want it to get going, and today we're just really excited to just be able to partner with other institutions to raise awareness, at least to educate about the economic contributions of Latinos across all sectors, regardless of where they live. Because not all Latinos live in South Omaha now.
No, absolutely not. I mean, just like every other diverse community, they can live pretty much everywhere. It probably started out 50, 60 years ago with the packing houses at that time. But now, with the exception of 1 or 2, they're pretty much all gone. And so, I'm sure people have moved to other areas of the city. And
absolutely, yeah. Out of the 12%, what I have known or what I have learned, at least for Omaha, is that yes, at least half of all the Latinos in Omaha reside in Southeast Omaha. But again, that's just half. The rest of them, are all over Bennington and tornado affected areas. Sure. I know families that had acreages in the areas that were affected by the tornadoes recently. Again, who would have thought? But again, we're neighbors everywhere.
Everywhere. That's very interesting, because I wasn't aware of any of that took place down there, and I've been obviously through South Omaha in the 30 years that I've been here, and I've been to a lot of the restaurants, and I've been to a lot of the bakeries, and obviously the Taquerito there next to the International Bakery.
Yes, Taqueria Tijuana and Taqueria El Rey.
So I'm familiar with that, and I think having a diverse culture obviously aids or adds to the fabric of the entire community, regardless of whether it's just on 24th and L Street or 24th and Lake or 72nd and Dodge or Howard Street. You got to have that mix of cultures to make a city run correct.
Oh, absolutely, because I think that's what's most unique about the U.S., I think, in general. Like, the perception from outside of the United States is that this is the country where you can meet someone from across the world.
Right.
Like, we're in a global market in the U.S.
Yes.
Right? So folks that are not welcoming or paying attention to all of these different ethnicities and all of these heritages and cultures and traditions, are not exploited in the market. And I mean, you and I are in business development, and I just know, right, that if you want to tap into the market of, a specific ethnic group, well, you got to learn about it first. So you got to do some research. And some of the research that I'm fascinated by is publications from the Pew Research Institute that I get in my email so often. One of them caught my attention recently. Well, it's been a minute, but it was about Mexican food items across the U.S. restaurants. Like, they were talking about in their research, they found out that a minimum of 10% of everyone's menu include a Mexican dish.
Oh, wow.
So, and
everybody's serving nachos now.
That's what I'm saying.
Right? Yeah.
Of some
Every
sort.
restaurant, I don't care where you go to. I'm surprised McDonald's and Burger King don't do it now, but it's a staple for a lot of restaurants.
Yes.
Yeah.
And just like that, there were other data points that caught my attention, like salsa overtaking American households. Yes. Yeah. You probably heard that before.
Exactly.
And tortillas overtaking bread. And so, I mean, without thinking how, other groups are affecting or improving your life, right? Like, you're actually embracing something that you will not otherwise have, but someone gave you a dish that included chips and salsa, and then you're like, where did this come from? I want fresh salsa now.
Yeah, oh, that's too funny.
But that wasn't an American thing.
Yeah. You don't think about that. You just you go in and here's the menu. But that obviously shows that the influence of the Hispanic culture in America obviously is strong, and probably in Omaha, obviously, as well, for many different reasons. So how can our viewers and subscribers, how can they help the council?
Yeah, well, I think we need to look from within. So if you are a business owner, pay your employees well, especially if they are trying to learn English, like provide professional development opportunities to your work base so that they can too end the cycle of poverty, right? So that they don't stay in an entry-level job forever. Give them flexibility to, again, promote education or educational incentives so that they too, get their ESL, GED, or maybe citizenship class. You never know. Like, offer those opportunities to your workplace. The other thing too, like, that's how you can help our council, honestly, because we want everyone to thrive, just like this podcast. The other thing, like, if you're a corporation, right? Like, look at your board. Are you representing the customer base that you're serving?
Or your employee base.
Yeah, or your employee base. Yeah, absolutely. So if you're not, like, maybe look at your leadership, right? And your boards, and diversify your board, diversify your leadership so that you are having discussions about the growing Latino community and other ethnic groups. So that's a business owner, corporation. Of course, we'll take your funding.
Right.
So if you want to donate to the cause, you want to see.
Is there a website that folks can visit?
Yep.
Or?
You can donate directly on shareomaha.org, and you can look us up, or you can also go to latinoedc.org, which is our website, and then you can learn more about who's all volunteering on our council, what kind
Get
of
some more information about projects you have going on.
Yep. The one of the main things that we tell people too is that advocacy and allyship is where we can all do something for others, right?
Cool.
And so volunteering in the organization. This weekend we actually have, well, and I don't know when this will air, but we have a volunteering opportunity on the district. We just held Cinco de Mayo.
Right, in which you were kind of a part founder of the celebration itself.
Absolutely, correct? Yeah. I've been volunteering for that festival for 18 years, and I love it so much.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that it's not Mexican Independence Day, and even my folks in Mexico say, "Why are you guys celebrating Cinco de Mayo?" And it became an American thing. So, but it is a way for us to share diverse cultures and our food and our music with others, and so I really enjoy the fiesta.
I don't mean to interrupt you, but January 1st wasn't the actual New Year's Day either years ago. It was actually April 1st. And when the calendar changed from the Gregorian calendar to the Julian, or the Julian to the Gregorian, they changed New Year's Day to January 1st. That's where April Fool's Day comes from. So it's actually
humans do
goes all over the place,
different
right?
things.
It's just not Cinco de Mayo. New Year's Day was same kind of thing. But.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, and so we held Cinco de Mayo. It was very well attended.
Nice.
All 3 days, and
more people are getting out now because this COVID. I don't want to say nonsense. That's probably not the right term, but I used it. So, but people are more willing to get out and they want to get out and do things.
Oh yeah, people are eager to build relationships.
Yeah.
And when you build relationships, you build trust.
Right.
And I think trust goes a long way in just making business and many other things. And so, the festival is very diverse. I mean, we hold the largest parade of the entire community. 2.5 hours, almost 3 hours
great.
Long this year. It's community from all over, businesses, small and big, and nonprofits, and it really is a community gathering.
That's great. Well, Itzel, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. Really a pleasure getting to know you again. You and I haven't seen each other probably for several years, but as I mentioned, during our first broadcast, these podcasts are about all of us with Omaha Magazine, and certainly want to be inclusive of our Hispanic community, regardless of whether they're in Southeast Omaha or anywhere.
Right.
But you're doing some great work, and there's some exciting things going on, specifically in Southeast Omaha. Some nice plans for the future, and it seems like your organization is gearing up to continue to make, whether it's that Southeast Omaha or all Omaha in particular, make it a better place to live. So
yes,
thank you for all you do, and thanks again for coming on.
Gracias. We'll see you soon.
All right, sounds great, Itzel. Thank you.
you.
Thanks again for joining us on today's episode. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you'll never miss an episode.